Hello, everyone, and thank you for being patient with me. I don't know why is it anytime you want to do something that's technical, there is always a glitch with the system. So for those of you that were waiting for me at 7 o'clock, thank you so much. I pretty much use Zoom for everything, and then I realized I was going live on Zoom instead of going live on Facebook. But anyway, I made it. I'm here. Thank you for being here. This is the last Facebook Live for 2019. We are going to be in the 20s pretty soon. That's crazy to say that. So thank you all for joining me. And this Facebook Live is understanding the PSAT. And I'm going to be going over a PSAT with you, explaining to you how to read this, what these test scores mean, how to understand these scores, and also what you need to be doing going forward. So definitely you're going to want to take notes, grab pen and paper, get that handy, because I'm going to be giving you not only advice, but I'm going to be explaining to you literally how to retrieve these scores and what they mean. And I'm just going to wait for a few folks to step in and join us. And in the meantime, I'm going to go over a few housekeeping items for you all as well, so that you all know about all of the really great things that has taken place with Access College America. One thing that Facebook is doing that is new now is they are counting algorithms as well. So if you are actually watching this, make sure that you do like it, give it a thumbs up, things like that. Before I get started with anything, I have got to give a shout out to my class of 2020. I am so proud of the seniors that I've been working with. They have been receiving acceptance letters from all over the country. We've been receiving letters from University of Texas, Wake Forest, University of Georgia, Columbia, Baylor, San Diego State. Several folks got admitted into App State, honors programs from Alabama, Texas State. I mean, I could literally go on and on. You know, this season, I helped my clients submit, just over 200 college 200 college applications, and we are already at over 75 college acceptance letters, and that is going to be climbing. So, for the clients, for the students that I'm working with and the families, you can access my calendar now by going to Access College America and then clicking on schedule a session. You'll be able to see my calendar there. And how are we receiving over 75 college acceptance letters and climbing? I'm going to go ahead and give you 4 pieces of advice. And thanks for the heart, Michelle. I appreciate that. I miss you. We worked in college admissions for so long, so a lot of this, you know all about it. So it's good to have you joining us. And so, yes, and if you are watching, give it a thumbs up, give it a heart, give it a like, things like that. I really appreciate that. So 4 pieces of advice on how you can prepare your student to be, on a winning team. And then I'm going to go into what these what this practice SAT means. So the first thing that you need to do before I jump into everything else is, 1, you got to start early. Everything is fair in the high stakes game of college admissions all 4 years that your student is in high school. I can't tell you how many times parents reach out to me when their student is a junior or even a senior, and hey, better to see me then than not see me at all. But college admissions officers, we're looking at everything. Everything's going to be highly scrutinized from the summer of your rising freshman year and then on. So all 4 years, it's game on, and time travel doesn't exist. You can't go back to your freshman year or your sophomore year and play woulda, coulda, shoulda. The second piece of advice I have, so that you can prepare your student or your family to have a successful application season, is create a balanced college list. And that means you've got to have a list of between 6 to 8 schools. 2 or 3 schools are schools that you can get into. 2 or 3 schools are schools that are a target, meaning you've got like a 50% chance at getting into that school. And then maybe 2 or 3 schools are considered a reach. And if you are applying to any Ivies or highly, highly selective schools, you're going to want to apply to more than 8 of those colleges. So you don't want to be stuck at the end of application season relying on a default school after you've worked so hard all 4 years in high school, and you've only got one more, you only have that fallback school to rely on. Also, if you're wanting to get scholarships, your scholarships are going to come from those safety schools. So again, that's the second piece of advice, is having a balanced list of 6 to 8 schools. Third piece of advice is always ask for help. There's people out there that are willing to do it for free. I do it all the time. Access College America, we're a national provider for guidance with college planning. We're a service-minded organization. This year, I presented to over 500 families. I gave over 60 one-on-one consultations absolutely free. Absolutely free. So people are out there, they are willing to help your family out for free. And then, of course, you can talk with them about additional types of assistance they provide. The fourth thing is get organized. This is a complicated, overwhelming process. And college brings 2 things together that every parent cares about the most. 1, their money, and 2, their kids. It is going to be extremely overwhelming to try to learn as much as somebody like me knows within an application season. So strategy is always going to be key. So I just want to go over a couple of quick dates for you before we jump right into this practice SAT. I don't want to keep you guys here that long. And again, if you're just now joining us, grab a pen and paper, because I'm going to explain to you how to read these practice SATs that are coming out as well. Mark your calendars. So Wednesday, January the 22nd at 8:45-ish a.m. I'm going to be live on Fox 7, Good Day Austin, and I will be giving advice for New Year's resolutions for students. So I'll be live on Fox 7 doing a live interview on things that students can do to help prepare them for a great New Year. Number 2, I have a great article coming out in the Austin American-Statesman in January about New Year's resolutions and goals and some things that you want to pay attention to. The next college planning workshop is going to be on January the 23rd at the Howson Library in Austin. It's College Planning 101. And the next Facebook Live is going to be January the 25th, 8 p.m., and I'm going to be reviewing those financial aid award letters. So definitely stay tuned to that. Okay, so this is understanding the practice SAT. If you are watching, definitely give it a thumbs up, a like, give it a share. Leave a question in the box if you have a question. What I want to talk with you right now is some need to knows, things that every family needs to know about with what this practice SAT is. I'm going to explain the scoring. I'm also going to explain what a National Merit Scholar is and how your child can qualify for that. And then I'll go over some free resources for test prep and also academic advising. So let's do this and let's jump right into it. First of all, the practice SAT. You're going to get a score report, something like this. Now, a lot of families may be wondering, what the heck is this practice SAT? Is it the same thing as the SAT? Is it harder than the SAT? Do all colleges get this score? What does this mean for my child? And do they even really need to study it? First of all, the PSAT stands for the Preliminary Scholastic Aptitude Test. Is it on this one? I don't think, yes, kind of. You'll see the score right here. You'll see this funky acronym. It looks like an alphabet soup kind of. NMSQT. That stands for the National Merit Scholarship Qualifying Test. So now you know what those acronyms stand for. About 3.5, I think it's just under 4 million students now are actually taking these tests annually. So that's a pretty big deal, all right? The test itself is just under 3 hours, I think to be exact, 2 hours and 45 minutes. It's paper-based, and it's gonna be mostly multiple choice. The PSAT, also known as the practice SAT, and the SAT are really about the same, but the good news is the PSAT is actually going to be a lot easier than the SAT, and there's no essay, and it's going to be shorter too. And the PSAT is really a predictor of how well you would do if you had to sit for the SAT. Now, I'm going to go ahead and explain this to you now. I get this question almost 100% of the time. Should my child focus on the SAT or the ACT? Here's a tip. Colleges are test agnostic. They don't care which test you're going to take, whether it's the SAT or the ACT. The kicker is, the challenge is, you need to know what test your student is going to be best on. So you generally want to take both practice versions, but I'm going to save that for a whole nother session, if you will. All right, so your student takes that practice SAT, again, a predictor of if they were to sit for the SAT today, how are they going to do? The score on this practice SAT is going to range between 320 to 1520. And it's a combo, all right, of evidence-based reading and writing and math. You might hear it referred to as EBRW. And for those of you that are taking notes, I apologize if I'm speaking really fast. You can always send me an inbox or shoot me an email if I need to clarify any of this. Each subsection that your student takes, the score is going to range to between 160 and I think like 760. All right. Now, the other question I get all the time is, what is a good score for this test? Okay. Honestly, you know, it really depends on you and your objectives and where your student is planning on going to college. The crazy thing is, you don't know where your student's planning on going to college until really it's application season. So you kind of have to work backwards in identifying what is going to be a good score. Now, total disclaimer, the national average, if your child has taken this test and you know you end up getting the score on this next page, this one says it's a 960. By the way, this is not one of my clients' tests, so it's okay for me to show you all of the stuff in here. 960. Well, let me tell you now, the average score, average national score on the practice SAT is about a 920. All right. Generally speaking, 460 in math, or no, I think it's about a 460 in EBRW, which is that evidence-based reading and writing, and so on. So let me explain to you a little bit though. All right, so you need to work backwards. You need to start thinking about the types of colleges, the type of selectivity rate. Where is your child going to end up applying if they are going to go to college? And then you want to look at the test scores for that particular college and get an idea if your child's at least in the ballpark range. Now, let's say that, you know, your child took this practice test and it's a 960 and they want to go to, I don't know, University of Texas. I'm just saying that because I'm in Austin. You know, generally speaking, depending on the type of college your student is applying to within that university, they're going to want to see 1350 plus scores. So, you know, as a sophomore or, you know, as a junior, if, you know, how far off you are on that test. So you want to start thinking about doing test prep before you actually sit for the full SAT so that you are geared up and ready to go. Now, I will tell you this much, you know, these tests that your students take, the majority of the time, you know, students are going to struggle mostly with how to take that test. So really just test prep, understanding, you know, different strategies, the content, the material. They already know the math. They already know, you know, the English. They already know how to write well. It's really just understanding how to flow and get through the exam. So again, think about where they are targeting their colleges, their search, and then identify or become familiar with the test scores that it's going to take to get into there. Look at the practice SAT score your child got, and then from that you can kind of start getting a baseline for how are you going to create a balanced college list. The standardized tests, the SAT that your student's going to take, or the ACT, standardized tests will account for about 40% of an admissions officer's decision. That's a big chunk. So you want to make sure that you hit a home run with that. Now, moving into what is a National Merit Scholar? How do you know if your child is going to qualify for this huge, prestigious scholarship that everyone has heard of, but no one really knows a lot about? Well, you know, the one thing that you're going to want to do is once you get your practice SAT, all right? And by the way, I have so many parents that put their students through Duke tip programs and all of this kind of stuff. Actually, you know what? I think I'll save a whole nother Facebook Live for when I talk about Duke tip and how soon is too soon to start testing. So I'm going to try to stay focused and get this presentation done in less than 20 minutes. So I'm going to focus with that. National Merit Scholar, when you get this form, every single section, you first need to find out what your selection index score is. So write that down, selection index score, all right? Every single section on your test is going to be scored on a scale of 6 to 38. Now, you want to take the sum of each section that you've been scored on. That's the first thing. Double it. That's the second thing. And then you want to add all the scores to find out what your selection index score is. Now, that number should range between 36 and 228. All right. So now you can look at previous years of what the selection index score is and find out if your son or daughter is at that level or exceeded it in order to identify what their chances are at becoming a National Merit Scholar. Traditionally speaking, no one knows what the index score is until September of the senior year. And number two, to make it even that much more complicated, it's going to vary. All right, by state, by state. For example, you know, I had someone recently in California, their national, index score was around 222 this year. Last year, I believe, in California, the score was 222. I don't know what it's going to be this year. Could go, normally it goes up 1 or 2 points or down 1 or 2 points. So there's about a 4-point variance with that. So California, their score was 222. If you hit 222 last year, you were a National Merit Scholar. North Carolina, their score, because I work with a lot of folks out of California, California, the Carolinas, and then obviously Texas. That's how I know these. North Carolina, it was 219. Texas, it was 221. So to kind of predict if your junior is going to be a National Merit Scholar, look at the previous index scores and find out what your index score is, and then you can kind of get an idea of how that's going to go. I did a really good blog on this whole thing. So I know that, again, I'm speaking really fast. My recommendation is to visit my website, accesscollegeamerica.org, click on blogs, and you'll get all of this right there. Also, subscribe to my newsletter, and you'll receive that as well. So if you're just now tuning into this Facebook Live, this is Understanding the PSAT. Give me a thumbs up. Facebook's keeping track of all of the interactions that student or families make. Give it a like. Give me a question if you have a question about this test, because I'm live and I definitely will answer it. And if you're watching the replay version, just give me a hashtag replay. So now here's how you can understand these scores. So if you've logged in to your test bank and you see this right here, what I want you to do is I want you to click onto the score details. I think it's in the top right. It's kind of backwards for me because I'm working on a monitor. But click on the score details on the top right. This is going to include the cross-test and the sub-scores. Now, you want to see the cross-test scores, all right? Now, analyze, and what that section is that's where you analyze, you know, where it measures how well you analyze the text, how do you solve problems related to science, history, social studies, things like that. So that test score is going to range between 8 and 38. You'll see the sub-scores below that. That's going to show really your strengths across the different subject areas. That score is going to range between 1 to 15. So, you know, both indicate, you know, competitive range nationally. You can look at that as well. Now, you'll see a bunch of different colors. The green scores is going to mean that you meet or you really exceed the benchmark, all right? The yellow scores means that you are approaching the benchmark. And then the red scores means that you need improvement. The next thing I want you to do is I want you to select the Skills Insight tab. And that's really so that you can dig deeper and learn how to develop, you know, further. So understanding the scores, making an improvement plan is going to be key to college planning. There's a hidden feature that a lot of people overlook when they are looking up their scores, and that is the AP potential section. And that's going to advise which AP classes are great for you. So if you stuck with me this long, here's bonus content for you. Lucky you. So if you want to get an idea of which tests that your child should be taking, then you can definitely look at that potential section as well. Next, always speak with the counselor to learn before enrolling for any of these AP tests. Academic planning, your transcripts will be about 50% of an admissions officer's decision. They're looking at your level of performance, your rigor, and the evidence that you have of curiosity towards a specific subject. So I never recommend just randomly registering for a bunch of classes when you have no strategy in high school on what you're enrolling for and why you're enrolling for these classes. Also, there's a really cool tool finder on the College Board account, and that will include compatible colleges that you may be interested in with career options as well. Next, you want to connect your results to Khan Academy. So you'll log into your College Board account and connect those results so that Khan Academy, which provides free test prep services for the SAT, will auto-populate your weakness areas from the practice SAT, and you can focus on those. I've been trying to beat the 20-minute mark, so I'm going over. I'm going to go ahead and wrap up now. Thanks for joining me. In closing, families that have 7th and 8th graders, really excited to launch our early application program. If you want to get on my team and make sure that you get locked into my current rates and my current packages, those offerings, I'm taking reservations now for 7th and 8th graders. $500 down gets you locked onto my roster for your students here. I don't work with everybody. I have a very limited intake, and a lot of times families don't want to wait until their student is a freshman to make sure they do get on my winning team. So I'm taking reservations now for those middle school families, but services do not start until high school registration. Next, make sure that you visit the PSAT blog. It's on my website, accesscollegeamerica.org. I'll try to put it here in the comment section as well. Thank you all for watching this Facebook Live. Happy New Year, and have a wonderful day. Hope you enjoyed this. Bye-bye.